All right, all right. I have 7:01, Tammy. We'll call the meeting to order. Did everyone have a chance to look over the previous minutes?
Accept the minutes as
Please turn your mic on.
it is on. It's a green light.
Yeah, but now the green light's on.
There you go.
My apologies, everyone. Yes, I did have the opportunity to read the minutes and I did not see anything that I object to. I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Motion made by Lance Lawyer, seconded by Brenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. The reports and warrants, warrants are going around. Brenda has those. And they will circle their way through. Finances, everybody had a finance paper in front of them. Sat down. Everybody take a minute to look through that and see if there's anything that jumps out at them or corrections that need to be made.
Question, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
we own the generator that's at the school, or is this a maintenance contract?
That is the maintenance end of the contract. Yep. The school is responsible for fuels.
FYI, yes, the town owns the generator. The generator was acquired through a FEMA contract. I don't know how many years ago. The agreement is that the school will run it weekly and fuel it. It is town's responsibility for maintenance.
And we can double check Mac. That is the first. Is he coming back to do regular maintenance or? Okay. Yep. So. All right. So if you were unable to hear Mac, he has a couple quotes coming from, that's Milton Cat. Yeah. For generator servicing. No. Milton Cat. Yep. Okay, we're just going over the finances and see if there was anything that jumps out at you. There's another one right here. Lance was just pointing out on the road expense. We budgeted 30,000 for this year and we're already at 10,100. Here. Under equipment fuel. On this one, Terry. Yeah, it's
Do 2/3 of the traveling between January and April, November and December, or October, November, December.
30,000. 10.
We didn't anticipate the price of diesel going up as high as it did.
That's for sure. Any other comments or questions on the finances? I did say something earlier. What is everybody's thoughts on asking Maria to be here at one meeting out of the month, just to give an overview and quick rundown? It wouldn't require. Well, we asked the previous treasurer, and when she was filling out that term, she was doing that. We have made no requests since her.
We asked about reports, right? I know we asked
Yeah,
about that.
right.
We asked that the report be
Yeah.
ready and presented to the select board for at least the first meeting of every month. She's presented a financial report every meeting, as far as I can remember.
Terry has the correct recollection of that, Mr. Chairman. She said she wanted to make sure she had sugaring season covered. So
Yep.
We're in the middle of that, so I
Yep.
think it's appropriate just to touch base with her again.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I don't see it taking that long. I mean, if she could be here for the first 15, 20 minutes of the meeting would be sufficient. So, all right, so we'll just put that back out there. Any others in that category? Okay, move on to visitors. Conservation Commission. Pat, if you want to step up to the mic here for us. And just hit the push button there so the green light turns on. Yep, perfect.
And what we have here,
You name the onion picks.
Yep, no worries. It's a penny for your thoughts. man.
My thoughts. Okay. Well, I bring the thoughts of the commission. A citizen, an active citizen, Steve Jackson, came to us several years ago and said, there's a brook that runs in front of my house and comes down off the hill. And as far as he could tell, there's no name. And as far as anybody could research, and he did a fair amount himself, in Bakersfield, there was no name for the brook, and discovered actually that there's a number of books in Bakersfield with no name. So we said, fine, we'll be glad to support you and see what we can do to get the Department of Libraries, who is in charge of naming geographical places, to certify the naming of this brook. In his research, he found that the brook, as it comes into Black Creek in East Fairfield, does have an adjoining property name that may be there, the name of the brook. The Page family apparently owned land in that part of where the brook ends up. So we decided we'll ask that it be called Page Brook. And library was good with that, except that they sort of came back and said, well, you got some other waterways there, and how do you know this is blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, there are at least 2 other waterways that they wanted us to name too. So we went back with them. We decided we would name Page Brook, School Brook, and the Heron Brook from the Heron Rookery out there. See on the map.
May I make a comment on that? Locally, that has been known as Bucks Brook. 100 years.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I don't know what this, so I don't know if you want to sign this letter. We've been back and forth with the library a couple times, and we seem to have these sewn up there. But we just had a wrench maybe thrown into our plans. The letter that you see in front of you, and for anybody who's watching, we needed an endorsement from select board saying that you approve that we are moving for the benefit of the town to have these brooks named, and these are the names. And we have a meeting coming in October, in the first half of April, to go back to the library and say, these are the names we propose. now. I don't know where that leaves us.
History behind Bob's Brook, farm. History behind Bob's Brook. The farm that the Stanleys now owned was originally known as the Spafford Place, but it was acquired by Tom Tupper and given over to Tom Tupper's adopted family, Jack Lawyer. Jack Lawyer ran, and his wife, Eleanor, ran and lived on that property for many, many decades. His nickname was Bub.
I see. Yeah.
I lay no claim to the name. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it did have a
Okay.
prior
Yeah.
name.
It hasn't been listed on a map anywhere that we could
No.
find. No.
No.
So that's
Just
tricky.
locally, it has been
Yeah.
known as Bob's Brook.
Okay. We should
That
know.
goes all the way down and crosses, it goes down to 36 and joins.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is the name of that one? Page Brook. thank
Well,
you.
that's, we're thinking of naming it
Yeah.
Page Brook. So it joins Page Brook. Okay. Is that the one we want to call the Heron Brook?
Yes.
I
It
see.
joins Page Brook
I see.
right on the Stanley property.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems to me that now we've got a small tempest here as to whether to go ahead and ask you to sign this letters. It's up to you, or to send us back and say, change it.
Question, Lance.
Yes.
Is any living heirs still on the property or adjacent to the brook?
I live just up I live just up the road. Yeah, yes.
That does that count?
Mother still lives there. My sister, my grandfather's name is on the front of the school.
I think that needs reconsideration.
I guess it does. All right, then. Well, sounds like there's not much more to say unless anybody has a comment about the other brook names. No, or some knowledge we weren't aware of.
I will recuse myself from further discussion.
You're fine. I think
I will gladly give information. I will not vote.
so. Yeah, it looks like maybe just look into that a little bit more. Would be my suggestion, and then come back. I don't see any issues with the school brook. That's the one that comes off the old Manette's Field and down across.
Mhm. Sure.
Any other comments, questions?
That property that is the Heron Rookery was Jack and Eleanor Lawyer's property.
Okay.
So for Page Brook, it looks like it rolls all the way down through East Fairfield. down
Yes.
Towards St. Albans.
Yeah.
Do you or have you approached also the select board down there to see if they're on board with changing that to Page Brook, or is the assumption is once it?
Well,
Yeah, so that
as we
area-
understand it, I think as what was found was it either has no name or it is Page Brook down there.
Okay, oh, it is already called Page
It
Brook?
either is Page Brook or it is unnamed. The only reason we attached Page to it is because it seems to be right where old Page property was, where it joins Black Creek.
I only ask because, it's kind of weird trying to follow a map, and the brooks change names every town, so.
Yeah.
If it's going to
Yeah.
roll all the way down there, maybe we should try to make sure that they're good with that and just let it, even if it's just that little piece. Make sure they're good with Page Brook. If it's not already named, we'll find out it already has a name as well.
Well, we may not want to find that out, but if you say so. So
Bob's Brook too.
yeah.
Part two.
Now can I get that correct? It's Bob's, BOB''S.
Is it Bob's or Bubs? B-U-B?
BUBS.
BUBS apostrophe? No?
Well, it would be Bubs. Yeah, it's
Okay.
his Brook. yes.
Okay. Unless his
Possessive,
name was Bubs or something.
I-
Okay. Okay.
As long as I can remember, that's what it's been referred to as.
All right. Okay.
Um,
There are other waterways in Bakersfield that apparently have no name. They're not listed on maps and that sort of thing too. So we were thinking, ancient as we are, we may It might be beyond us to try and name them all. Are you through with me, or did you want to, have you guys going to vote on this or what?
I think what we're looking for is to have you look into it just a little bit more.
Okay, okay,
And then.
no
bring it
more
back to
action.
us and
that's fine.
we'll make a
All right,
decision then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Even though I put this forward, I will respect your opinion.
Well, first time for everything then. Thank you.
Actually, we'd like to keep this, please.
Next on the agenda, East Bakersfield's culvert. Luke, I think Luke is,
There he is. Good morning, Luke.
How's it going? Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Awesome. So hi, I'm Luke Perchetti. I'm an assistant planner at Northwest Regional Planning Commission. And I'm just going to quickly, I'll be brief. I just want to share information on the proposed project that NRPC would like to pursue with funding from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And happy to answer any questions on this structure. So just briefly, the sort of genesis of this project is that NRPC has a cooperative agreement with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, where we administer projects for them that are meant to improve what they call aquatic organism passage. And so last year we went out and did a bunch of assessments around Franklin County. And essentially they ended up prioritizing from those assessments, a list of like 10 to 12 projects that they would be willing to fund for design, culvert replacement projects. And this was one of the projects that they identified. And, before I get into any of the specific structure information and whatnot, I just wanted to clarify that the funding would come through Fish and Wildlife, through NRPC from Fish and Wildlife Service, and would cover the full cost of design. And then if you were to want to pursue it and design were to be completed, we would sort of reassess with you. And, if Fish and Wildlife appropriates more funds for construction, great. If not, you could sit on the designs and, if the culvert were to fail at some point, you'd have them. But I just, want to emphasize there's no regulatory component. It's purely incentive based, and you would not have to pursue construction after the design were to be completed if you didn't want to. And if you don't want the design funding, that's also fine. We would just go to the next project on the prioritization list in one of the other towns in Franklin County. And so let me know if you have questions about that. But yeah, so the structure itself, I can send pictures after this meeting to Brenda and the structure report. But essentially, it was prioritized because it acts as according to Fish and Wildlife, they said that it was prioritized because it acts as a barrier to the movement of native brook trout on the stream, of which there is apparently a population, with the co-benefit that a replacement would lead to a decrease in erosion downstream of the structure. And the culvert is, not in the worst condition, but also not in the best condition. The bottom's rusting out. But however, from a town perspective, I'd see why, it might not be the culvert that you'd consider the highest priority right away, because it's not, in directly imminent danger of failing. But, from what I saw, the shelf life also doesn't seem super long either. And so there's a small outlet drop, which would hence the, barrier to fish movement, which is why Fish and Wildlife would want to fund it. And a replacement would, according to sort of a summary printout that an engineer made on what the design parameters would be, would probably be a small upgrade in the sizing, and the bottom would be buried with like a simulated stream bottom. And so, yeah, that is most of the info that I have. And I'm happy to send any pictures, reports, and answer any questions that you all may have.
So just to be clear, we're talking funding for design.
Yes.
With zero commitment on whether or not that gets replaced. You're just talking about coming up with a design for us. And if the bridge fails in 20 years, we have a design. If
Essentially.
And if
Yep.
funding comes through in 5 years and you want to replace it, then as long as it's not costing our taxpayers anything, we can go with that.
Right. And so essentially, yeah, we would probably work with Fish and Wildlife and hire an engineer to do the design with their funding, and check in with you all, after the 30% design, get your input, check in after the 100% design, get things tweaked. And yeah, you could pursue it further after the design was completed or not. And the likelihood is that if the design were to be completed, and just from my perspective, if the design were to be completed and there was Fish and Wildlife didn't see any reason not to fund construction in the next cooperative agreement cycle a year or two down the line, I think there'd be a pretty good chance that construction would get fully funded. Maybe there would be they have funded projects in the past with no town match, but they might also ask for town match. But again, you wouldn't be required to pursue the construction. But the design funding now has no town match attached to it. So it'd be fully on Fish and Wildlife's time.
In listening to your presentation, I was unclear as to whether you were trying to put in a traditional four-sided box culvert with a stream retention baffle or a three-sided bridge with a natural stream bed. Do you have any comment on that?
So yeah, so I think so. The design is not settled, so that Fish and Wildlife could change it up, or the engineer could change it up based on what they see. But the proposal was a larger corrugated aluminum pipe arch culvert with step beveled ends and a buried bottom. And again, I can send out if you haven't seen it, I can send out the summary that was made that has a little bit more of the detailed information.
Does anybody else have any other questions or concerns?
One of the things is the reason that I had Luke come and speak tonight was because thinking forward in the next 10, 20 years, if we have a design in place, and like he said, if there are matching funds or even completely paying for it, that would be ideal from a preventative maintenance type. Thanks, Luke.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Forgot to hit my power button. I said that's something we can talk about as a board for a while. When does he need a decision by?
I think the funding is through this year.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think the funding is through this year, but I'll clarify that with him when I make sure I have all the paperwork that I need. Luke, do you know what the time frame for that was that you want a decision back from us?
Sooner the better. I mean, there's no defined time frame. We're currently reaching out to engineers, about to put an RFP out. And I was gonna, because we're doing a package of projects, we're doing a bunch of other projects in the county as well. I was gonna have engineers submit a proposal for this one as pending, and we were hoping to hire engineers, but I mean, I would say within the next month, 6 weeks would be great. I don't know if that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, John. You have a question?
Linda McCall has a question.
Oh, okay.
Linda says, are you talking Penders Brown's Pond?
No, Linda,
So-
what we're talking about is the culvert over by the old John blank here, Snide Friends. If that, does that help?
It's a multi-plate.
East Bakersfield Road.
Yes, East Bakersfield Road.
Yep, crossing what's called Ross Brook according to maps. I don't know if that's what you guys call it, but
Rossbrook.
yep.
Just
on the.
Yeah, and let me know if you need any more information, pictures, maps, anything like that, and I'll be happy to provide that.
Perfect. Thank you, Luke. Like I said, we'll discuss it, talk with our road foreman, and we'll get back to you definitely within the allotted time.
Thank you.
Lance has one more question for you. Sorry.
I have one more question, Luke. What is the life
Yeah.
expectancy of a galvanized steel multi-plate as opposed to a precast concrete structure there?
I'd have to get back to you on the exact specifics of that. From what I heard, I think the life expectancy, if we were to replace it, would be, 45, 50 years from what I heard from people, but I could be wrong about that. So I'm not 100% sure.
As opposed to the precast concrete?
I'm not sure. I only heard for this one. I'm not sure about precast concrete, but I could get back to you with more information on that. And again, go ahead.
My only thought was, I believe the precast concrete structure would be a longer lived structure. And would it be worth upgrading it? Other than that, I'm not going to make any more comments. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'll just add that, as you know, that was what was given in sort of a pre-design assessment, but as the engineers actually do the design, they might change what they would like to do. So.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Sean from
Northwest CUD.
Northwest CUD Communication Unit. Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
How are we doing?
Hi, Sean.
I'm not
Can you hear
sure
us?
if I can.
Okay.
Is it appropriate for me to share a quick slideshow with you?
I think if our tech guy can give you permission here, hang on just a second.
I updated my presentation today, so Bakersfield is going to be my guinea pig for the evening. Hope you don't mind.
No worries. We just had to put in a bunch of security things because we had some people take over our meeting one night and it wasn't very appropriate, we'll say.
Yes.
I've been the recipient of one or two of those events, so I totally understand.
This says you should be able to share your screen. Is it giving you an error when you share it?
Yeah, I can now. Yep. Just give me 1 second here. Let me
There
pull,
we go.
see how this goes. How's that for you? Everyone good?
Perfect.
Move this guy out of the way here. Well, thanks for having me. I hear from relayed from Brenda that she has been keeping the board up to date on what Northwest Fiber Works or the Northwest Communications Union District has been up to. And obviously we have had some news recently, and we felt that now was an appropriate time, certainly after town meeting day, to kind of make our rounds to the communities and give them a brief update and then ask questions should there be some. Just a quick reminder of the communities that are part of the CUD currently. It is 21 communities. Most recently, it's primarily the islands this past, let's say, 6 months that have joined. Alburg was on really early, but it was Isle Lamont, North Hero, Grand Isle, and South Hero that joined primarily over the last 6 months. At this point, we do not have plans to actively expand. We're at a point, we needed to reach a point when we needed to kind of lock in our scope on what our build project was going to look like and to plan for that. So we kind of reached a point where we said, okay, enough is enough. We needed to kind of move forward, and we felt like we were in a good position to do that at that point. So currently we're at 21 different communities. What this means, some of you may have seen this before. We're seeking a generational change with the organization. We want to establish universal broadband internet service to increase the vibrancy and success and security of our communities. COVID-19 really highlighted a significant need where all of a sudden everyone was at home and was heavily reliant upon their internet connection, where otherwise it was kind of taken granted for. So our mission, when we were created back in August of 2020, is to break the barriers of internet access for all communities. And our vision is to leverage partnerships and procure funding to connect Northwest Vermont via an open access fiber network to ensure opportunities for all homes and businesses in our region. Some of the goals we set forth from the very beginning, and I'm very proud to say that we've really stuck to the convictions of these goals and haven't deterred from them in any way. We want to provide universal access, so everyone has the same level of service. We wanted to use fiber to the premise or fiber to the home as the technology. Prioritize the underserved, provide a reliable and affordable access, seeking ways to accelerate the timeline to build. And then from the very beginning, we wanted to do some level of implementation by 2022, and we are still on track to achieve that this year. Beginning construction. Something I always like to do is, what is the problem? What is the issue they're trying to solve? Currently, right now, Northwest Fiberworks represents 29,176 premises, homes and businesses. Of that, 2,574 are considered unserved. They have no connectivity whatsoever. Over 7,800 do not meet the current definition of broadband, which equates to around 27% of premises do not have adequate connectivity for today. I went and looked at the numbers. Bakersfield is 77% underserved. I'm sure that's no surprise to everyone sitting at the table tonight, right? So that's the problem we're trying to solve. Every community is a little bit different, but generally we're looking at somewhere around 30% lack of connectivity for every community that is a part of the CUD. So this is probably the biggest news that came out recently, which is we've announced our model. What is our intent and how we're going to do it? Northwest plans to build, own, and maintain a fiber to the premise network, open access network. This network will universally serve every home, business that is currently not connected to fiber. So this is a question we get often. Am I going to be included? If your home does not have a fiber connection, you will be included. In Northwest, that equates for roughly around 3% of all of the addresses have a fiber connection. So it's a very, very big project. Our view of this is the network will create a marketplace for retail ISPs, telehealth providers, 5G providers, enterprise, schools, towns, and other entities. Particularly for retail ISPs, the network will allow users to choose their own service provider, and they won't be limited to just one. That's the benefit of a true open access network, is it allows multiple providers to use the same infrastructure rather than having them come in and build it themselves. A few things that we always like to cover is why fiber optics versus coaxial or wireless technologies. Fiber, it's cliche, but fiber is in a sense future-proof. Really, it's only limited by the electronics on the either end of the fiber cable itself. It's theoretical, but the lifespan of a fiber optic network is somewhere around 50 to 70 years. It is kind of unparalleled in terms of speed, reliability, while the cost upfront is more significant than doing some other alternative technologies. Long term and the minimum amount of maintenance required or updates to the infrastructure make a fiber optic network the most affordable option. Open access. Some say this has multiple meanings, but to the folks at Northwest, it has one meaning, and that's we're creating an open infrastructure that allows several different retail providers or service providers to serve services over the same infrastructure. Typically, the incumbent providers come in, they build out the infrastructure, and they own it, and nobody else can use it. This is going to be publicly owned and maintained infrastructure with several providers allowed to be able to use that infrastructure. That's the key difference. Some of the frequently asked questions that we always get, and I just want to go over a few of them. Which towns will get it first? I know everyone's always eager to hear that. Our project, we're planning it out in phase builds. There's several factors that go into that decision. We are not locked into how that will go. Currently, we're going through some high-level design, identifying some routes, but we are seeking to prioritize those in most need. And in the case of Bakersfield, honestly, you're probably top 3, in terms of what's in Northwest. There's logistics and construction management, and all these other factors that go into that. But while we don't have those answers today, rest assured that Northwest is seeking to prioritize under and unserved addresses as early as possible. How long will it take? Currently, right now, we're projecting our construction to be 36 months. With that said, workforce availability and supply chain are serious hurdles that we fully anticipate, and we're seeking to try to minimize that as much as possible. But they're the reality. There are 9 other CUDs through the state, all doing the same thing, and we have a small funnel of contractors and professionals to work with. But we're trying to eliminate those bottlenecks when we can. How is the project funded? The CUD is currently funded through state and federal grants. We're going to be seeking commercial loans and revenue bonding in the future. Once the CUD is up and running, it's going to be sustained by network revenue. Something always good to remind folks. I know the folks in Bakersfield had good questions about this when they first joined. Does my town pay extra in taxes? No. Under statute, it is protected. The towns are insulated from the CUD. CUDs have no power to levy, assess, or appropriate tax funds on member communities. Something I like to always remind folks of, because I'm a strong advocate for broadband for many years now, and that's what the economic impact can be for the region and for individual communities. There's millions of studies out there now that kind of show, or well, maybe not millions, we'll say thousands of studies out there that show what can happen when a community or communities are highly connected. There's a bunch of benefits that can happen. Entrepreneurs have access to be innovative and try different things. Governments have access to be more efficient. There's green technologies that play. Simple things like property values can increase by as much as like 3 to 5%. There's all sorts of innovations and incentives to having a broadband, fiber broadband network within your community. Questions? Nice and quick.
Do you see any significant cost changes to the end user?
So right now, we did, it's in the news, so I can talk about it finally. The first retail ISP that we are working with is Google Fiber. They are a well-recognized, well-respected national ISP. They are committing to consumer pricing on par with the rest of their other national markets, which, to compare that to our pricing, is significantly lower than what is currently made available at similar service levels. So I'm going to use a gigabit of fiber, for example. Some other service providers in our area are if a gigabit is available, which is limited, are charging anywhere from $150 to $180 a month for a gigabit of fiber. Google offers it for $70. They are also seeking to introduce an affordable rate program, 100 over 100 megabytes over 100 for qualified households through the affordable connectivity program through FCE, which provides a $30 subsidy. And Google's committing to offering that for $30. So somebody could get, as long as you're also qualified through the FCC subsidy program, you could get 100 over 100 essentially for free. That's the current state of the entity that we're currently working with. Google is what makes our network work, or sustainable, is having that first ISP on board. We're calling it the first domino. Looking at the open access model that we're seeking to build, if you go look at other examples who are in their 4th, 5th, and 6th year of operation, they have 3 or 4 different ISP entities operating on that network. We felt the best way to tackle the affordability and availability issue was to introduce competition and have an open access network.
Sean, this is Brenda. Would you just recap what the towns, what we need as a CUD from the towns at this point? And explain Mary Kay's role in doing that?
Yeah. So one of the things that Northwest identified really early is that I'm not Superman and I can't do this myself. So we hired some additional staff. So then we have 2.5, we'll say, staff members. We do have an administrative support personnel out of Swanton, and Mary Kay Raymond out of Fairfax. Mary Kay comes with a wealth of experience in the technical fields, primarily in cellular and project management. But it was, for us, it was important for us to have maintained control over the process and have local ownership over the project management and build out. Mary Kay is currently doing a number of things, but one of which is going around to all of the individual communities and identifying some local distribution points. Every community is going to have, we'll call it a local hub for distribution. So we're going to have our centralized office where the fiber starts. That'll go to what they call OLT locations, and that's our distribution points. Sometimes they can be at electrical substations, they can be on municipal property. Those can take the form of we'll call it like a 10 by 10 communications hut. They can also be in a small cabinet depending on the size of the community. Similar to kind of how you'll see them now, where Consolidated or Comcast have those little tan or gray cabinets on the side of the road. So we could accomplish the same thing using those same types of enclosures. So right now, Mary Kay is going through the communities and having discussions with road crews and town and village managers to identify some potential locations. There's nothing that is a commitment at this point. It's simply, what are our options? We're also looking for storage space. We're going to have reels of fiber and electronics and things like that. Just what are some options for us to have discussions on what might be available? We're a municipality as well, so any assistance along those paths are really beneficial to us, to ensuring that we're able to kind of get this out quickly and hopefully get everyone connected. It's a big project, but we feel that we're definitely on the right track.
So Sean, my name's John. My question to you is with regards to these buildings, seeing how you're providing service for a community, I'm assuming that you're going to need 24/7 access to these buildings, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other question I have is there's going to be a power commitment for the equipment. I mean, fiber does run across the light, but you still need power to run the switches into our routers.
Yep. The CUD would maintain their own power requirements.
And I only ask because if you're using municipal buildings, then either you're going to have a separate power feed into the building, or you're going to have use the buildings and somehow figure out how to reimburse the town for the use of the power, right?
Meters, or we could, and our thoughts possibly there's not necessarily buildings, just space on municipal property. How's that? So if there's a lot or if there's available space behind an existing municipal building, behind a library, a school, where a 10 by 10 pad could be put down and metered, that's likely, more likely what we're seeking, more so than access to a current municipal building. Is that more clear?
It is, and then when it leaves the building, you're gonna run it over current power poles, indoor poles, correct? It's gonna be over air, not underground. And then what
Correct,
happens when
aerial.
you? What happens, have you guys taken into consideration the houses that, you know, the power poles stop before it reaches the house by hundreds of feet? Are you then going to, I guess, trench it, or what's the thought there?
So there's, everyone's got a different scenario, right? You know, some households have aerial, some households have existing conduit, and some don't. We're committing to providing up to 500 feet. What we did is across the entire district, we took an average, and we actually gave even more of a buffer. We understand that some folks have, you know, 1,000, 2,000 foot driveways. Those are still really difficult to get to, but we're committing to at least 500 feet. And if there is existing conduit, great, we can pull it. If not, the homeowner might be responsible to put in conduit, or it can be buried. So there's a couple alternatives there. We're actually having that discussion tomorrow, funny enough, of kind of laying out, kind of clearly defining the different site types and kind of how that works. It's not easy, but we feel that by us providing 500 feet of materials and labor, that goes a long way, but rather than just simply running by the pole and just kind of saying, hey, you know, figure it out. We are trying to meet in the middle, and the best way we felt was doing that was taking an average across the entire district of driveway length, which was like 480 feet roughly. So we kind of met there in the middle.
And then my only other question is regarding the multiple providers. If house A is on Google and house B's, let's just say using Comcast, and, you know,
Mhm.
house C uses a different provider, how are you splitting those up? Is this going to be like, you're going to need the providers to bring in their service at the central office, and then you're going to cross connect over to the individual houses using switches?
Yeah, we provide the switches and the power. In a sense, we're providing dark fiber. The providers themselves are providing their own electronics. So they're lighting their own fiber and delivering the CPE, their customer premise equipment, to the home. So their fiber terminal and their router is going to be provider specific, but in terms of the actual fiber cable itself and the infrastructure, it's all owned and operated by the CUD.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Seeing none. Thank you, Sean. And we hope that the next time we do one of these Zooms, the new internet will be in and we'll be able to hear everything you say.
I'm right up the street in West Enosburg, so it's I feel the pain, that's for sure. I'm certainly one of the ones that has struggled with broadband since we moved out here, so totally understand. And we'll work to continue to update communities as we work through and hit some big milestones, and certainly you know, let the folks of Bakersfield know that you know, we're trying to get this done as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and hopefully we'll have some exciting news here this year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
Next up, Brigham Academy. So I don't have your previous, from the last meeting, you sent us a proposal.
The RFP, yeah.
Yep, you got it right there, Lance. So upon looking at that, the only thing that we were hoping to discuss with you or throw out is possibly an option 3, which would be just the north and west side of the Brigham Academy. Possibly restricting the traffic, as you guys know, looking at the Brigham Academy driveway. They went from a driveway to a landing pad, so maybe reclaiming some of that south end as lawn and looking at paving again the north and the west side.
Between Brigham and
Yeah, right by the fire hydrant there, as you pull in, we call it the old.
Is
the-
that what
the
you
old
wanted?
principal's
Is that what
house.
you wanted? Okay, so that wasn't what you wanted, green space.
Yes, that's where we
Okay,
would
that's where
be,
you want green
be
space.
replanting that back to grass.
Okay.
I know Vern, at one point you had said, well, how's that going to affect the renovation of the
Right,
Brigham
yeah.
Academy? And I think that's a bridge we cross when we get closer.
I can speak to how that will affect the renovation. I spoke with Paul Dreyer today, who's the architect for this project. He's heading up, sort of leading all the other sheep in the same direction. His thought on it today was that in order to make this project work, they're going to have to reclaim the footprint that the building once had. So on the northwest corner of the building, there was another structure that was torn down. His feeling was in order to access the new facility, that all the handicap accesses would have to go through there, and they'd have to have some sort of a building. And possibly 2 stories, some units would go in there. So he felt that if we paved that section, that it would have to be torn up in a couple of years.
We did have that surveyed today, and we've got a nice layout of what's there. I mean, I couldn't make heads or tails of what was there. I'm basically on the print either, so I just went ahead and had it surveyed today. So it's very well marked. Nice, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the space.
Yeah. So as far as paving the west side, I don't think, obviously, the rest of the select board is going to have to chime in on this, but I don't think it's advisable at this time.
So Lance, what you're saying is that the west side, we would have to rebuild the building that was there, the old entryway to the old Brigham.
That's correct.
So if we were to even have our name on this bid, the west side is out. We'd only be talking about the north side, which I believe is only approximately, I think you said, what, 16 to 20 feet, Vern?
Car length.
Yeah.
It's about a car length.
So at this point, and this is a question to the entire board, is there any point in having any of our property on that bid at this point?
You really don't even know. They could be tearing that up as well. You don't know if the construction's even gonna be there.
Right.
Irregardless of whether that is involved in a new structure or not, even the other 2 sides are going to be subject to heavy equipment.
Right.
Right, so could you,
So I guess with that new information, and this is just personal opinion, I don't speak for the board. I think we've put it to a vote, but I don't see any point in Brigham Academy property being on the bid at all.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I'd love to see it paved. But unfortunately, considering the possibility of the success of this project, I would have to decline myself.
Yeah, we just,
So one of the other questions we had with it though was where our septic,
The runoff
the
from the,
runoff from when
Yeah.
you do your drainage.
right, because, well, the problem with that is the only issue with that right now, Terry, is we don't have a defined area as to where the septic is going. It still has to be engineered. And,
Right, but we still wouldn't want that disturbed.
right, but
That
they
area.
shouldn't be, they would, your the parking lot footprint is no larger than it is now, right? You're just, So they're not extending, they're just,
Okay,
so they wouldn't go beyond where the dumpsters are now. That's where it would end.
I can guarantee that the septic for this new facility will not be on the north side. It will not be on the west side, and it will not be on the south side. It will be somewhere on the green or possibly the fire department property.
We're just trying to be good neighbors. We wanted to make sure that everybody, and we're gonna do our best. I mean, we're gonna do it once and we're gonna do it right. We're gonna dig this down. We're going down 18 inches. We're gonna have a good stone set up and it's gonna be done well. Before we lose a Chevy in that parking lot.
Well, your willingness to share this with us and bring it to us is very much appreciated. I hate to bring this up. It isn't directly related to the parking lot, but it is related to you, Vern. And that's the contents of Brigham.
We, so I've got.
What are your plans?
I've
for
got
that?
2 roll-offs coming in on April break. And whether or not that's going to be enough, but I'm hopeful that we're going to have everything out of there by April break, if not soon after.
Excellent.
We've got
Excellent.
them dropping. We're gonna have them drop actually the day before April break to see if some of these teachers want to get in. I was amazed at what was in there. So, yeah, it'll be gone, and we're gonna do the metal as well. So we'll have it pretty well split up, and we'll get it cleaned up.
Thank
for
you very much
Yeah.
for that.
No, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip here. Sorry, I didn't have that information ahead of time. Otherwise, we probably could have saved you a trip.
I just got it. this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yep. But yeah, so I guess at this time, we're gonna bow out of having our names on the bid, and maybe that'll make it easier for you guys.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to get away from the seed couple.
Vern, could we get a copy of the survey? I assume you had a map. There'll be a map drawn up, and
Yeah, I have this one, but I haven't surveyed it.
excellent. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
I have a suggestion in lieu of paving. Possibly we could fund filling the area between their pavement and the building with coarse gravel. If we went in with 1 inch minus stone and filled it, it would look good. It put some fabric down. It would look good. It wouldn't look as good as the pavement, obviously, but it would serve for the drainage and still allow, while the availability is there, people to park there.
Mark D is asking, what's going to become with the clock? What's going on with the clock?
Long-term plans, Mark, are to restore the clock. We're not there yet, but it has been discussed.
Any other questions on the paving?
No, nothing with the-
I don't know if the board wants to include this in the finished paving project when they finish the people that are there. Whoever wins the contract could go in and do this fabric and coarse gravel, or is that something that we want the town crew to do? I'm just putting it forth.
Right. The only problem with discussing the fact that they couldn't include it if it was option 2. You know, say Pike comes in and does the paving, but they're also doing the fabric and the crushed stone on our property. They would need to quote that now, and that would have to be option 2. If it's
oh,
Thank you. Now it's a documented O now. Do we have any issues with putting that as option 2? The north and west side. Dug up to
Yeah,
the
so
same
it's
grade.
just a quote right now.
It's just a quote,
Right.
just put it,
Yeah.
just putting it in as option 2, north and west side dug up and crushed stone put in to bring it up to grade.
I would say, I'm no expert, but I would say that no small.
Absolutely.
Thank you. My comment was that I am no expert, but I would recommend no smaller than 1 inch minus stone for the project.
Any other comments, concerns at this time? Not saying we won't come at you with more later, but right.
It's
That's
right.
right.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
coming
much,
out.
Guys, a lot, guys.
Have a good night.
All right. Any other visitors here? Just that guy over there. We'll talk about him later. Now I guess it's his turn now. Mac, would you mind stepping up to the microphone? Come on up.
Oh, you just push it on or off.
I'm moving these tables away from these windows. I'm freezing.
Well, today's the only day it's gonna be cold, then we'll be in warm back up after this.
I can feel this cold air right on my back.
No, but fingers crossed. Roads, sir, still there.
In some way, shape
Shape
or
or
form, they
form.
are there.
Okay.
We had a few of them break up. Not anything like last year. We utilized some stone out of our pit for the worst ones, the ones that are, we've been taking it out of leaches because it's just that much easier and it takes a lot less gravel to fix it over after we put the gravel and we rock it. We have 2 roads right now that are kind of rough. They're short dead end roads. And we've got a pile of brush down there ready to go on those. As soon as the snow stops.
The only,
Where were your roads that were? East Bakersfield, I see that on Facebook.
Terry, please turn your microphone on.
East Bakersfield Road is actually good. I don't see a problem with that one. I mean, there's people that don't like it, but you know what? Slow down. It's potholes and it's small bumps on East Bakersfield. There was no real mud ruts to speak of. You got Coal Hollow, you got Beacon Hill, you had Waterville. There was one small blister on Basswood, King Road, and some on Witch Cat.
that was Whitney,
One very small
one
up by
small.
Nancy.
Okay, that
We did that one that your bus driver was complaining about last year with a couple of trench drains. Didn't catch it all because of the ledge in proximity, but it's, yeah. Other than that, of course, Whitney doesn't have a sap truck on it either.
Okay.
All the rest of them.
just to be clear, I ask probably daily on the radios how the roads are looking in Bakersfield to our drivers that are driving the buses. And I've got no complaints from them yet. Passable, they can pick up every kid. And he did say the one on Whitney was 100% better than it was last year. There was one about Witch Cat, but he was like, not much you can do about that one.
That one, I think it's the one by Rosenberg he's talking about. We put 6 loads in the first day and we put in 2 loads again one day last week of the crush to make it a little
Passable,
more
yeah.
pleasant.
Now Brandon's did some work on one of these, didn't they?
No. Well, he ran a bulldozer from Cold Hollow to Pekin, and he made some water outs on the way over with a big bulldozer.
The only other question I've had, Mac, and it was from Matt, was just if any roads break up so bad that they're impassable.
And I
That
did get a hold of Robert.
Yep.
And I asked
Okay.
Robert, because I did not have Matt's email, so I
Okay.
gave it to Robert the day you talked to Dan about it.
Yep.
He got a hold of Matt and sent it right to him, Pleasant
Okay.
Hill too, on on the back.
Do you have Matt's phone number, cell
Everywhere
phone
is where
number?
they should.
That's fine.
If not, I'll give it to you, just so that if you have any roads, even if it's just, which cat's not passable from the north end to this point,
I think. I
just so that
actually-
they're aware and
I do have a cell phone.
you do,
I think at this point, they're done being impassable. I mean, I'm not. gonna
even
say-
after this, if it breaks up in the next couple
I mean,
days
it's
here.
gonna put some frost down on the ground right now, but Friday, Saturday, you would have thought, it would have done something that day when it was getting the rain. I think the rain actually helped pull the frost out and stiffen them up quite a bit, especially Thursday night into Friday. It was quite an improvement
Good.
on the soft spots. Obviously, they all need grading, but you can't grade when it's 10 degrees out. You can't grade when it's raining. But
Nope. You brought that up. I did call
we did.
Johnson.
Yep.
Their select board chair's number is not made public. And I left a very detailed message with the town clerk and asked them to call me back. I have not received a call back yet. So if you see, or Mark sees the road foreman over there, if he could just put a bug in the ear to,
Just keep us in the loop.
yep, return my phone call.
Yep.
Would be great. But yeah, I was basically told, no, I could not have her cell phone or home phone number. So,
Get yours out, right?
yes, mine is posted on the website along with all the other,
Yeah.
all the other select board
Oh.
members. Feel free to call them anytime. Not me, them. But I didn't have anything else on the roads. Did anybody else? I saw you got some actual, some really good comments on Facebook this time. Yep, there was a person posted a
My son
picture.
said Waterville was, you did a good job on Waterville.
There we go. Yeah, there was a picture posted that said, just caution which cats down to one road. And there was probably 10 to 12 people that thought the person was being negative. They weren't, they didn't intend it as a negative comment. They were just putting it out there as an FYI. And there was a lot of people praising how well the roads looked this
I
year.
did hear that one comment about which cat. The woman that I think made it saw us go by with 2 trucks, but we backed down for the first 4 loads. So she didn't understand that we put actually 6 loads in there. But it's neither here nor there. It's just.
They can.
Any others on roads? Anybody?
Oh, I don't know if there's a FEMA update or not.
That's further down.
FEMA, we were contacted again for some clarification on locations for culverts, which quite frankly had already been given
Several times.
at least twice. So
And a couple that. The woman that's dealing with us now in mitigation saw a culvert on the East Bakersfield Road, one on Waterville and one on Belvedere. Wanted to know GPS coordinates on that. Those 3 culverts had nothing to do with FEMA, and we sent that along to them, which I see Paul didn't get the one apparently about Waterville. He sent another note. If you didn't see that one.
So why was it they were asking
I did see it.
about the ones that had nothing to do with FEMA?
Because there was work orders for, we do 2-week periods. Say there was 3 days on this one that we were working on Waterville, and it listed a culvert down here for Waterville. Okay, it did not go on that project. The East Bakersfield one, I'm assuming it was on like the same work order as another one. But and we had a FEMA on East Bakersfield, Waterville, Belvedere. They were all there, but these weren't related.
So like
I didn't feel.
multiple jobs invoiced on the same invoice, but only part of it went to FEMA. Okay.
In her defense, she's trying to get us everything she can.
Right.
But she's driving us nuts. I'm sorry. Yes, it was.
Whose mic was off? Oh, hold on.
All right. Any others? FEMA, we're good.
They have moved 2 pieces of equipment down to the goat path bridge, old drill and a some kind of a forklift or something.
Yeah, it looked like a telehandler or some
Yeah.
sort. Yeah.
So I'm assuming Blow and Cody is getting ready to do something with that as soon as the weather breaks.
I have had a couple questions on when that was gonna happen and how long it was gonna take, and I said, I don't build bridges, so.
They had another question for Tyler this afternoon about the box culvert we put in on Whitney.
Yep.
Why did we go with the box culvert instead of 4-foot galvanized pipe like it was, only longer on a different angle? And Tyler didn't really understand the question, but he answered best he can, saying codes and standards and hydraulic study says you needed a 6x6, not a 4. And whether they take that for, I think they'll,
Wasn't it their studies that told you what to put in?
it was Tyler's study. He
Okay.
did the hydraulic study, and that's what we go by with the state. Everybody goes by the hydraulic study.
Okay. So just kind of sounded like federal government where they question their own information.
Yeah,
So many-
basically, that's what it is, because they hire somebody to do this hydraulic study and they recommend, or they decree that it has to be such and such a size with this much passing water and this much natural stream bed in the bottom, and then they say, how come you didn't put a 4-foot culvert in? And I said, well, you need a 6x6 box culvert with 18 inches of fill in the bottom of it. Yeah, well, you do the math. It doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the government.
So it's not really anything we've done. It's
No,
just
no, it was just a
government.
question for
Okay.
Tyler, but Lance and I talked to Paul today for 15 minutes or so after we sent him all the paperwork, and yeah, there's still questions that are up in the air. So we thought we were done with it. After it goes through this woman, it goes to the state environmental or whatever, where they've got up to a month to complain that there's a frog living there that they shouldn't have done.
Okay.
And then it goes to obligation, and then
Hopefully the bank account. And so the whole fiasco with the state is still ongoing where they did not disperse as much as they were supposed to. Okay.
well, that was a misunderstanding on our part too, where the way Paul had worded it was, once it's obligated, you get the money, and we got the 75%. I believe that was the last check, or the last pay period, we got the.
Yeah, well, it was obligated, yes, but it's also a large project, which put it in a different category, which wasn't explained even to Paul.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand that. And that's at a state level. The state would give us 75% of 75% of the monies already expended on the project. And that's where we came up with the $64,000.
And the state already has the $640,000.
The state already has the money for the entire project sitting in their bank.
As long as somebody's getting interest. All right.
I'm losing interest. How's that?
You're getting rich off it too.
All right. Any other questions for Mac on the roads? Mac off the roads? No? Do I care? No, absolutely. Have at it. Review of mail. All right. We have some papers to sign. I can get you that after the meeting. This is for Swiss and Bloom. They sent us one last year too. It is a venue in West Enosburg who does some catering with Mark Old Hollow Catering. Yep. And for some reason, the state has told them that even though they do not host any venues at the property here in Bakersfield, it needs to be coded for liquor license. It's not why.
Can't get a liquor license where at their establishment because they don't have the right septic.
So we're giving them one for Bakersfield and they're using it in Enosburg.
This one is only for beer and wine.
That's still, yeah.
It should have to be beer, wine, and liquor because they serve all three.
corporate categories, class one,
So they have to get a permit.
third class.
Mark's only food.
So can we ask them why they're permitting with us when their address is clearly Enosburg? No, they are using a Bakersfield address of 189 Main Street North. Seems I know what mine is, I would say that is directly across the road from me.
So that is the Rushes.
So what is the, how does this work? I don't,
Gets the liquor license. Whose name is on this?
Swiss and Bloom. So first class license, DLC, is that Department, yes, Department of Liquor. And third class license. Let's see here. Reliability company. Description, premises as commercial structure located at. Does applicant own this premises?
I'm not really sure how that's working because they must have to get a permit to use it in Enosburg.
Commercial, so
Can't, you have,
I mean,
this seems
No, you
like they
gotta-
are going
it's-
under,
anytime you cater out a bar, you have to get a permit from the town that you're catering into, plus you have to go to the state and get a permit as well for the day. I'm not sure. I don't know why they do it through here. Because I thought they put in a septic. I know before it was because of septic, but
um. Do we
Nice.
question it or?
Yeah.
venue in the town of Bakersfield.
Well, they're saying that they're at, it's
Oh,
one eighty-nine Main Street.
That's because.
So if they were to use this permit anywhere else, that's their liability, not ours.
Right.
We're giving them permission with this to serve at 189 Main Street North. Nowhere else. Correct?
I don't know. I'd have to look at what they're trying to.
That's
That's a
it.
good question. I don't understand that.
Yes.
Mark leases from the.
The trees, fine.
Well, it's
Or
leased to
owns,
buy it. I don't
yeah.
know how far that-
Well, the other thing is too, this has got where they would,
And he runs his catering business out of there. He also
class, third class, outside
does a
consumption.
butcher shop there.
Yeah, if
Art
you,
could serve outside of,
if you read the backside, if you read the
Yeah.
last page, it says, in roped in area, front deck and front porch. Now,
Maybe he plans on doing something.
you would have a really hard time putting a front deck on that building.
well, I would say we wouldn't want alcohol served there.
Oh, it's a short walk for me.
Oh, this one's a job.
Oh, yeah, that one's the Jolly, sorry. I don't,
This one's just for.
I don't know if I see any issue with signing it. For the simple reason that, as you said, if they're
Well,
hosting. a-
what you're signing is that Mark can have alcohol consumption on that property over there.
Right.
That's what you're
Consumption
signing.
or
this
sell
for.
Outside.
If he wants to then cater it outside of there, he's got to get a separate permit, whatnot.
Right.
So the question is, do we want,
You wanna have a bar in town?
right,
Maybe we should just find out what the purpose of the license is actually for.
applicant own the premise? No, if not own, does applicant lease the premise?
A permit to buy and consume alcohol on a site is different than a permit to just sell. Like the one we just had for Jolly, that's a permit to just sell.
That was.
And the one that Terry has is to consume. Okay,
The Jollies is a yearly
yes.
renewal.
It's two, I believe. Downstairs. Actually, I think there's a
It's-
stair for
it's the one
upstairs,
for the
downstairs,
carts.
and the one on the carts, yeah. Also.
I would want
Just
more,
clarifying your question for me. Night, Mac.
Yeah, with
Mr.
more-
Newitt.
more discussion.
Mhm.
Say hello
Definitely.
to Mrs. Newitt for me. Oh, she's doing
I agree with that too.
Well, not necessarily, because if Lisa was here.
All right.
ask
Yeah, I'd like clarification on that before I sign it.
We can do that.
You agree?
Yeah, because if you read the answers on this, it's not.
Not clear, not, if it isn't clear to us.
Tammy, if you could reach out to Mark, or actually reach out to Swiss and Bloom, which would be Angie Wright.
Yeah.
And see if she could give us some justification on that. If she can provide justification through email to the select board, would people be willing to come in and sign that? Outside of a regularly scheduled meeting. I don't foresee them having any events here.
Yeah.
This is basically asking for that alcohol to be consumed at Mark's.
Right, that's how I understood it too.
And I think if we were gonna, if we were gonna allow that, oh, sorry. I think if we were gonna allow that, we'd really have to reach out to those people in that area. As in your neighbor. Because I can think of a few in that area that would not want that. Yeah. Because this is asking for them to be able to,
Maybe he's gonna serve mixed drinks with his.
he very well could with this permit. But it says they're leasing the property. It says they're leasing the premise. And then it's asking for the outside for his front and back.
Yeah, but I'm pretty
So
sure
yeah, I
that-
think we
I'm
gotta
pretty
ask
sure
more
in
questions.
the way I read that is the roped off area out behind the barn and front porch where they all go stand at Swiss and Blue.
She can't do that
I
to
know.
us.
I understand what you're saying. That's just how I interpret that.
And that very well might be, but you can't do it in the town of Bakersfield for the town of Enosburg, a structure in the town of Enosburg.
So maybe that's also a reach out to the town of Enosburg's board to see why they're not going through them, or if they have gone through them also.
Doesn't the Swiss and Bloom already serve alcohol at their site in West Enosburg?
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand.
That's the problem we're having. We don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, so we'll get clarification on it.
Yes. And Terry, the other one is the Jolly right there for beer
I
sales.
did Jolly.
Well, maybe you did. It's on the back side.
What do you mean it's on the back?
If you signed, it'd be the second page.
Oh, no, I didn't sign it. I thought we did it last month, or was that
No,
just?
that was
Country
for
Club?
the country club. They just submitted 3 of them for all 3 locations. Alright. Forms. Yes, there is. right here.
Oh, on this one.
So actually, Tammy, if you want that, the warrants are all set too. And as soon as Terry
Wait, I have a
signs that.
question on the warrants.
Okay, hang on. Warrants aren't done.
That's why I didn't sign two of them. One was the Brenda, your Zoom reimbursement. What's that for? I thought are we still,
Annual. The town has the Zoom.
so that's for this year?
Yeah, it's for all those Zoom meetings that are.
Okay,
through the
I thought
town.
we had already done that.
For last year.
Oh, every year. Okay,
It's good for
Okay.
education.
that was just the question on that one.
You know,
The other one I
this
didn't
is-
sign was the equipment for the,
Zoom meetings.
I thought we were just getting microphones. How did we get a bill of almost $6,000 from this B&H photo video?
John, you want
Yeah, I'll take care of it. The original proposed that was approved was 15,000. We delivered it in the third back in February. The board approved up to $15,000 in equipment. Microphones have to connect into the mixers, so you have to get mixers. And what we did was, because it's ARPA funds, and it's one time only, and only the select board gets to determine the distribution of the ARPA funds. This isn't something the town votes on. This is something that, according to the ARPA administrators, have informed us that the monies that are used are determined by the select board and select board alone. When you initially, as I said, when I presented it in February, I got the approval for up to $15,000. I delivered it at 5,300.
I guess I misunderstood that then. I thought we were talking just replacing these.
We did, but there's supporting equipment that works, that makes these work the right way. That's the problem with the snowballs. It's right here.
Oh,
I'll show
okay.
you it after the meeting.
All right, so I misunderstood that the first round. Gotcha.
Well, the first round initially was last year when we put together equipment that we're using about half of what we bought last year.
Yeah.
TV and all that.
TV and the,
Problem is the sound equipment and all that was purchased last year just doesn't work. And the feedback from the townsfolk was that it was horrible.
couldn't hear.
Um,
It didn't
By the way,
work.
Linda McCall does have a comment. She did say Mark has a for lease sign on the old garage section in his building. Maybe they are leasing that. Thank you, Linda.
Find out. I thought there was an exercise place in there. Oh, the exercise place is gone?
She got COVID out. But
Oh.
Sustain it with, her group business was much stronger than just the individual coaching.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Terry,
Did you get this too?
Terry, you requested at the last meeting, a request for proposal.
Yes.
There's that and a envelope,
Okay,
if you
thank
want to
you.
deliver that one.
Yes.
There is.
I have to go there tomorrow, so.
Perfect.
Is this the external audit?
Yes. There's 2 more envelopes in here and 3 more letters. I'm gonna put these back in the select board box. So if anybody else is going, get your taxes done or whatever and wants to bring one and see if somebody wants to give us a quote, by all means. That's. We only got the one, right? Yeah, I think if we could send it to the same 7.
What was that one in Enosburg that,
Parent.
is
Something,
that the one that's in the brick building where
yes,
the
the
cable
old
used to be?
telecommunications building, yes.
Okay.
And I know you would know who that is if I could think of their name.
Chad Parent's wife,
Yes, is one of them. Yep,
Lindsay.
Lindsay, there it is. But yes, if anybody else has, Tammy, if you want to send that out again to those, the same.
Yeah.
Or so you want me to dig through? There's a, that's because there's a search button in the email system. So I just put right here, I just go, Tammy.
Oh, I'm still struggling with my email. Ever since they changed this, I don't know what they've done. Before, it would just notify me that I have an email and it'd be right there.
Hey, Tammy, check your inbox. No, don't, because when you fire up that thing, it doesn't stop dinging for 20 minutes. Oh, that would explain why it's so quiet. All right.
Yeah.
Did you read over these, Lance?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have here is a list of Agency of Transportation. What do you call them, Matt? I guess I should have talked about this while he was
That's for
here.
completion of the waterway. That. Yeah, it's the Bridgecraft Grounds. Bridge there, is that considered doing? Doing. Okay, so that, put that in. separate. Is that the only one?
There should be the attachment there.
Okay, that's all I have.
Oh, this is,
Thank you.
all right. That was the one you just gave me. Hang on. I didn't go down far enough. Sorry, somebody sent way too many. Let's try it again. Yeah, just had to go a little deeper. I just which one did I send that one to? Gmail or Gmail? Yahoo. No. Oh, that one. Okay, right there.
You have two.
Yeah, sent it to the Yahoo, it says. So what Lance is doing right now is he's going to get some town road numbers and everything, because this is asking which roads, road related improvements shall be constructed. I can let you guys read this. I'm not gonna read it to you. All bridges is the one he's looking at right now. All bridges shall have a minimum of 2 lane widths except the following. We need to just document which bridges in our town don't have those.
Oh,
It's the same thing that we looked at when we did the road walk over in East Bakersfield, just beyond John's house, with slope grade, just stating that ditches with certain grade need to have stone, ditches with certain grade need to have grass mats, and this is basically just accepting Vermont standards for the road repairs that we do, and says that we will maintain their stuff.
standards.
And there's also one here, town road policy. Basically mud season and easy with the school bus drivers.
What will we do for mud season?
So what this one said is all vehicles operating on town roads in excess of the posted weight limits do so at their own risk. During mud season and periods of abnormal rain conditions, certain roads will be closed at the discretion of the road commissioner. Vehicle owners will be held responsible for damage done to the roads for operating over posted weight limits.
Oh, really?
That's, everybody's happy with that one. I can sign that one right now. Yeah, it's a forever one. There's nothing new here. It's just we are a new group, so we need to have everybody's correct. Right. As soon as he gets this one back, we'll sign this one because he's still working on it. Gotta come back. One of the things that was talked about earlier is with our ATV ordinance being so successful last year. What would be the downside to opening up the west side of 108? Our reasons prior where there were no connecting trails for that side to be open to, so there was no reason. At this point, there's no connecting trails on the east side either. It's just the town has opened their roads, so can we make a motion to amend the ATV ordinance to include all of Bakersfield's roads except those noted with signs? The avenue, I believe, does have a sign posted. Skinner Hill Road. We're in- This one. This one.
You don't think that's true? Not paved, right?
Tell you what, you take the truck down, take my truck down.
You don't access it from 36, right?
Right, they'd access it from the back road.
Slow down. What are you doing on that road? You live on. Yeah, they could come down over the other side. There's another one. Did you read these two? There's two more.
I did read this one.
That's just me. Did you read it though? And John read it?
Josh would have to think about what roads we don't want.
Okay, yeah. So that's fine. I just wanted to put that out and see what the feelers were. I think we can amend that. Yes, unless you sign both of them. There's back side of the first page and wow.
Josh,
Such,
I wanted to point out something too that came to my attention through Kathy, which was that when the sticker season is on, they can't get anything done in the town office because it occupies nearly 3 or 4 full days.
oh no, good.
Yeah, so I would
Can
like
you
to,
guys just read over that before I sign that?
I'd like to propose that we actually compensate somebody to sit in there and sell stickers during the days that they're open for stickers, and that will be public. I don't care what they pay them, but they need to
I
compensate
think,
somebody so they get their work done.
What's this for? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I know you're talking.
so my question is, it's technically, as soon as we get the stickers, it's open.
Yep.
And there's such an influx of people that come in for those that
We did 100 in a day sitting on the porch.
was sitting on the porch advertised that we would be there on a Saturday. I don't.
We still do that, but they, yes, they come in and
Yeah.
Kathy said she can't get any work done.
You're talking about a specific day.
Days that they come in through the door wanting to get the stickers. They come right through and during open hours for the town clerk.
That's what the town
That's-
clerk's for though. It's-
Yeah, it's a town.
Yeah.
I would have to say that's a town. That's a fee that we're charging. It's no different than when they come in to pay a fee for a permit.
Promised her I'd mention it.
Yep.
Slows the daily flow of regular business down enough that it's,
Unless you are a taxpayer in Bakersfield. And it's
well,
free.
it's like tax season. We're busy during taxes, but then we call in extra help for that.
Right.
It's like my season. It's gonna start April 1st, but they won't call me in any extra help.
So that one right there, you just gotta read over it so that I can sign it.
Yeah.
Tammy, did I sign all the other ones? I kind of passed them along. Try to be the last person to sign them. That way there's no questions.
Could you review what the STPS? Sorry. I'm just gonna throw it to you.
This must be goat. Is this for a goat?
Don't know. I can't.
Begin with Route 108 crossing south of Vermont Route 36 intersection of Vermont Route 108. Extending northerly through the village of Bakersfield for a distance of- Oh, is this the project that we just did for the sidewalks and stuff?
Could be, but I want a clarification.
Yeah.
they're not paying attention.
No, they're ignoring us.
No, we're discussing the ATV.
Want to turn your mic back on?
Sure.
Just clarification on what this is for again. Is
That-
this,
That is for the completion of the Main Street project.
We're talking.
Yeah. That's what I thought it was.
So,
Now I understand.
clarification,
so
what did you decide on the staffing for stickers?
We're not going to.
I'm not doing Saturday then. They're gonna have to figure it out.
We're here 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday.
So that's when we get stickers. We're also discussed, Tamara, remember, this is part of it, doing them by mail this year.
Yeah, why can't we have them send a self-addressed envelope with a stamp on it and
Never
just send
did.
it back?
We have to set that as policy. We rushed into the fee part of this really in a hurry, but we didn't set up any thing to relieve the clerk or let it go with the mail.
now, as you said,
Yeah,
we
they could,
we were
yeah.
here on the Saturday and did over 100. It was very much a fill this out. Over there with a pen. Come back,
Yeah, you showed up for something.
looked, yeah, I had a ball game that day, but I tried to show up for the morning. We did quite a few within the hour. And it was, I mean, unless you have 100 people coming in 3 hours, it wasn't. I didn't think it was overly stressful.
No, I wasn't talking about me per se. I was talking about what it burdens the town clerk. And she mentioned to me, I said I'd mention it to you. But we also mentioned doing a mail order this year and starting that right away.
Yep, as soon as we get the tags, we can have Tammy
Yep.
set something up. We can put it all over Facebook and on the town website.
That will do a lot.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, because we had a lot of people come in from
Other towns.
Colchester and Essex and,
Yep.
yep.
I think they might see
Saves
revenue,
them a trip too.
Yeah.
might see revenue increase on
Well,
that.
if we
Could
get real
we-
smart, we might be able to even do a computer one.
We have to have a way to pay it and that would be.
Venmo.
Way to do it. You gotta register everything and you gotta. have
I'm
the
not
names.
that computer savvy, so I'll leave that up to
PayPal. Venmo,
Josh.
Just because I can forward an email doesn't make me computer savvy.
PayPal I've used for years and happy with.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, plus fee.
All right. Through the mail,
Yeah,
external
they said
audit,
you'd have to add
sign
the-
the
have to add
forms.
the Extra onto it.
Tammy,
if
we can
they
work
did
on
it
that.
that
All
way.
right.
Have we
Any,
done others?
not for you. 'Cause you're gonna, next you're gonna try to take the banister out.
I don't know. We
No,
may,
we haven't got that far yet. Right now, we gotta wait for the stickers, period. Then we'll decide how we're gonna advertise.
they're
So-
gonna pay- stickers are coming.
Excellent.
They have been printed. We'll figure out a mail order
They were
loop for them.
they were on the warrant.
Yes. Yeah, we-
Okay, so, stickers will be here soon, so if anybody out there or that watches this within the next couple of days, we will post when they're in and when they're available, and we're hoping to do a mail to order system this year, which will be helpful for the out of towners that like to come up and enjoy our back roads peacefully. At this point, we have conducted all board business. Is there any others besides John?
Wow. Wow.
Josh, you want to talk about opening more roads? Do you want to do that tonight, or we want to put it on our agenda so we can think about?
I want to put it on the agenda so that we can discuss and come up with roads that we do not want open. And possibly talk with Mac about maybe getting some no ATV signs for certain sections of road.
I'd also like to have citizen input on that, specifically Witch Cat Road. That asked us to pull that out last year.
That's already open.
They still had signs. They had signs 20 miles an hour.
Those are ones that didn't get removed from the ATV club. All right, so we had
Oh,
one.
Just
I
a
thought you were
reminder
saying-
that I agree with Josh that it should be on the agenda because any decisions we made on that tonight,
Because it's
we
not
could
on. the-
discuss it, but we can't
That's to be part of the
Yes.
agenda.
Yeah, I was,
Has to be warned as
Yep.
part of the agenda.
that was another on roads, and I was just looking for some input as to whether or not it warranted a discussion, and as it does, we will get it on the next agenda.
Yep.
All right, let's have it, John.
So Zoom wise, and this is directed towards Tammy and Linda McCall, who's still on. We are going to consolidate all these phone numbers that we use. We're going to have one phone number for every Monday of the month. And so far, that will incorporate the planning commission on the first Monday of the month. The second Monday of the month will be the select board. The third Monday is open in case, one of the other commissions or something wants to use it. And then the fourth is ours, but it's going to be one number so people don't have to go searching around all the time. So Tammy, the number we're using is this number. The fourth Monday of the month is set up for every Monday moving forward. Correct. Monday meetings. Every Monday meeting. The other thing is,
No, it's an email address.
it's a link. Right.
You said number, but it's-
And we want to make sure the website's updated. So that was one. Two, as I had mentioned earlier, briefly, was the trainings. We need to make sure that we cover the League of Cities and Trainings for open meetings. There's a lot of stuff in there that you want to, and I'll forward you the link. I went to it, but just a one presentation that's free. You want to go through it because there's a lot of stuff in there about open meetings, and we have to announce, like even the planning commission, they have to make sure their agendas are out there ahead of time and up and ready to go according to the state's requirements. The other thing is, I don't know, again, with open meetings, the minutes that we're taking, that Tammy's so diligently doing over there, they have to be posted within 5 days of it. Yeah, we could post it as a draft.
We're
We could post it as a draft. Yeah, I'm just saying, these were a couple things that was picked up, but I would suggest that, and it's not just because I'm the new guy on the block who went through it, but
Yes, it is.
you should go through that one at least. Well, there's a lot of things, so
No, and I would like to point out,
they
John.
do
that
change
the
it.
Northwest Regional Planning Commission is doing another training on specifically open meeting laws. It's the 3rd of April, I believe, and I'll
Yeah.
clarify that with the email to you.
So
Not to pick on John too much, but it is very important that we maintain a good open meeting relationship between the select board and our townspeople.
I agree. And then the other thing was hybrid meetings have been put in place by the state of Vermont and approved till January of next year. So in our meetings, we always, that's why we have all the equipment, obviously, but that is moving forward, that's available according to Vermont. It's part of the structure until January. I want to say by all of them.
Okay, so,
Gotcha.
all right,
I'm done.
so what you're telling me is we're posting it on Wednesday or Thursday, so we're doing that right. We're uploading our minutes within 5 days. We're doing that right.
Yep.
And we've got a hybrid system, so we're doing that right.
We're
So
not there.
we're doing everything right. I
We're
like the way
pretty
this
good
is
in what we
going.
have.
You didn't even try to throw away any chairs this time. I like it.
Give them away.
John, you forgot one piece.
What's
He
that?
has to post them 3 public
Public
spots.
postings.
I'm sorry. Yes, 3 public spots.
Fail.
On the website is the 3rd spot.
Right, is that, are you happy with your responses, Joe?
I'm thrilled. Thank
Okay,
you.
Lance has got one final thing and then
I've
we'll
I've
call it a
got
night.
one final thing back to Brigham. The gentleman that is in charge of the project has failed to include the Bakersfield Volunteer Fire Department. I reached out to Paul Stanley today to make sure that they were aware that they are considering using part of the volunteer fire department's property for septic. It's not sure, but they are trying to plan when they come up and do their test pits, and they want to do a test pit on the fire department property and had not connected with them yet. So I'm trying to make sure that both parties are aware of what the heck is going on.
And what happens if the fire department says no?
The fire department has already said they're open to consideration. They're going to discuss it at their next meeting.
But they want to be included.
I was
But they
gonna
want
say
to be included,
consideration
yes.
And a yes are two different things.
This was volunteered from the fire department, pretty much from the very beginning of the project. You're right. They could still change their mind. Absolutely. It is, as is their right.
Mhm.
But
I was just
I'm
wondering
trying
if
to
there
make
was
sure
another-
that the fire department is kept inside the loop.
And I think, Terry, what you're asking is there a backup plan?
Right.
And at this point, as Lance stated earlier, I think it would be the green in front of the Brigham. It would have to be retrofitted, trees removed, and if that chunk of land behind the old apartment building isn't available. Is that correct, Lance?
Yeah, nothing is for sure yet. They haven't even done the test pits yet, Terry. And if you take a close look at the trees down there, there's quite a few of them that are in pretty tough shape.
They're reaching their age of maturity or beyond their age of maturity.
So Josh,
That may be a urban
No,
legend.
that's a rumor.
That's
Have you dug one up? I haven't dug any up.
that's a rumor that was the rumor came from my family, grandfather who heard
Yeah.
it from a great grandfather who was probably around when the trees were planted,
And he probably heard it from the ghost at Brigham.
Start digging.
so
still there. I just know that was we were definitely not going to go carve that into a picnic table. So any myth or legend that we could come up with was definitely going to fly there.
Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
not yet. I have a couple things from Linda. I'm sorry, I have a couple others from Linda.
Good.
Linda would like to know the status of the ARPA fund applications. The Historical Society request is waiting for the application. That was her first. She has another. You want me to go to the other as well? Yes.
She has me status for the ARPA fund.
The other she had was there is an approved design on the fire department lot that was done by Travis, my eyes are bad, Besley, when he owned the
Belial.
property.
Belial.
Belial, wow.
Belial.
Boy, I butchered that one.
While and it's it does
No, not a
it's
rumor.
irrelevant for the project.
Okay,
Thank you, Linda.
okay. And the time capsule, that's not a rumor. Every freshman class that's planted a tree, put a jar under the tree with the names of the class members.
Yeah, that information that I received came from my grandfather, Sam.
Yep.
And great grandfather, Earl, and probably Rupert also, but yeah, I didn't think it was a myth, but I haven't got out there with my pickaxe and tore apart that 4-foot stump yet to find it either.
Take some dowsing rods.
I can find water. I don't know if I can find a jar. I guess it'd be a
Yeah, you
challenge.
can.
Excellent.
Thanks, Linda. So we're on record that there is time capsules under the trees.
Okay, so what's the status of ARPA?
I probably should discuss that on a townwide meeting with regard to that and what we're doing going forward. But right now, our ARPA funds have paid for the sound equipment that we've got. And the application is done. And it got, John actually did an application, complete application for it. John, you want to tell Linda what we ran into when we talked to the administrator from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns?
Absolutely. So we completed the applications. It went through their process. They enjoyed reading the multi-page document. And then they told us that there has been a change in the funding and the distribution of the funds, that we have been informed that the application really is not required anymore, and that the categories for the use of funds have become very large and broad. For instance, we could buy a new grader with it. We could, if we wanted our own personal helicopter, we could justify a helicopter. So the funds that we have received become very, very much a very broad range of what we can use them for and how they're used. And as I stated earlier, it's down to the select board to determine upon the use of those funds and approval for them.
And then actually, the Treasury issued their final statement, final rules on that just after John completed those funds. He worked diligently for hours to produce an application that met all the criteria. And they looked at it and said, nah, don't need it. So we should have that discussion on a much broader basis on how we can use those funds and use them properly. Suggestions that have come in from the citizens are speed signs on our new raceway. It's also called Route 108, north and south through the village. So that may be something that we can do. It's only about $15,000.
That's a state.
Yeah, but they don't patrol the road for speed and we can mark it.
Well, that is the one thing that they made clear. We really don't want to use the funds for things that are funded from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if you can get the funds for watershed improvements somewhere, you should be using those funds, not the ARPA funds.
Right.
They were quite clear about that.
And other signs may be a grant or they may be available from the state, but
Right.
I talked to who just left this. Yeah, talked to Gary Denton. And he provided me with all of the bids that they did for that, including the crosswalks. It's a firm down in Barry that does them.
Yeah.
And if there's funds available, if there's state money, we've got citizens with kids that don't feel safe. They back out on that road with 50, 60 mile an hour people coming by. And many have said they were afraid for their kids. Probably cheaper to buy them fences.
We did try to get that reduced to 25 miles an hour. And the best we could go was from 35 to 30. And that was just 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, that was.
Okay,
that was
back to
done after-
ARPA funds. The Historical Society then should go ahead and submit their request so that it's on the table so you know what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we don't need to wait on an application anymore.
No, and thank you for bringing
And-
that up. I appreciate that. And it's very timely.
It can be put in the basket of. You can put it in our basket of suggestions.
I will do that. It's thick. And the other thing,
don't
rumors on the
forget-
street is the select board sponsoring this Cold Hollow Co-op store? I
No.
know that two of you are very much involved in it. So
No.
it gives the perception that this is a select board project, or is it not?
What is a Cold
No.
Hollow
Nope.
store?
It is,
Cold Hollow Co-op?
it is absolutely not a select board project, Linda.
Okay. I'll pass
John's
that.
been involved in that since before he got on the select board.
Yeah.
And you have been involved in that and you chair the meetings for that.
Yes, I do.
And the link is on the town website to those YouTube's meetings.
They were put on there for a single point for folks to be able to go and find them easily as informational, not so
Okay.
much as a select board or a town of Bakersfield sponsored event
Okay, very
or
good.
project.
Thank you. I'll pass
Thank
that
you.
along.
Thanks, Linda.
That's all I've got.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Chair.
I would entertain.
Well,
Motion. to
now that
adjourn.
she brought that up though, should that be moved off from the town site and put on maybe like the? I mean, I don't want people
Town
thinking,
information.
I don't want it. People thinking we're attached to it though.
There's other information on it.
Can we just put a small line stating
I think so.
it's not
That would be appropriate.
town,
No, yeah, informational only, not
Right.
town,
Not affiliated.
not,
right,
yeah.
town is not right.
Perfect.
I think that's
Just
simply,
something that
yep.
separates it. I don't know. I've never gone on either or.
The YouTube, it's, what it is I believe just a link to the YouTube channel. It's just like. Right. Right, it's not specific just to the co-op. I just made one YouTube channel because we also had the planning commission under there and everything.
So, no, I think what's being said is that there is in that link, there is select board, there is planning commission, there's probably zoning, historical society, which are all town entities.
Trying to get.
No
the-
historical society,
Society.
no historical society YouTube on
The
there.
historic, so, okay,
Historical Society is not.
It's Bakersfield meetings.
okay. Okay, so we probably just need to change the name of that link then to,
Yeah, it's all the stuff within Baker.
Is it hard to put it on its own YouTube?
I'm sorry?
Is it too hard to put it on its own YouTube? I don't know
No.
anything about it.
No, I can make another YouTube channel for just the Cold Hollow Co-op and put a second link up there as informational, but I mean, we could put a caveat out for the main link either, or it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing.
I think it's, as Terry stated, just a simple one-liner next to the link that says not, and the same thing could be done for any videos from the Historical Society,
Yeah,
that
how
this
they
is
have-
not a municipality.
All the printed material that we put out is
You know
clearly.
how they say you're now entering a non, when you go on things sometimes.
John can do that pretty quickly.
No, just the stuff that's not tied directly to the town.
To the town.
So zoning wouldn't
like-
need anything.
What taxpayers pay for.
You're right.
Because they're thinking because it's on that YouTube that we're behind the Cold Hollow, but we're not. Right near the title.
In the webpage.
Any co-ops or anything like that is not.
There must be a title to it. Can't you put it beside the? Is just the link. So maybe at the beginning of the link, when you open it up, it says,
It doesn't say town of Bakersfield YouTube channel, it just says Bakersfield.
I don't know, I've never been on it.
Right. Yeah, well, I made the YouTube channel, put them all together. It wasn't there before I started going. I'm the guy who did this, I guess, and I can break it apart. I am always the problem. It all rolls downhill and I'm standing there looking up.
Content may not be related to the town.
Let's talk about chairs.
We'll work on that, yeah. Just a disclaimer. Yep, I do.
I would still entertain.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, turn on your mics and signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
All those opposed? Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Sure.
You want me to bring it up, but it's not a select board, it's a zoning.